Good morning, CSL Carlsbad. My name is Reverend Dr. Lori McMacken, and it is my pleasure to be with you this morning to deliver the morning message. And I want to say happy Mother's Day to all our earthly mothers that brought these beautiful beings into the world. And I want to say happy Mother's Day to those who are not mothers and to our men of the world, because that divine feminine lives within each and every person. So I have some good news for you, but I'm going to let Reverend Kate tell you the exact date that we are going to be opening live soon so we can come together as a family. However, our Facebook friends, we are not going to leave you. No, we will not abandon you. We love you. We've been together for over a year now, and we're going to keep you in our lives. So I just want to let you know that you can always see this message on Facebook Live. So before we begin this morning service, nurturing your life, nurturing that peace within, let's pray. I invite you to close your eyes and to pray. I know there is one divine love that lives in the presence of wholeness and peace. I know the Divine Mother is always creating through herself and as herself in different aspects in so many beautiful different ways in the world. I know this divine creation shines light and love and unconditional good throughout the world, throughout the universe. And I know that I am one with the light of God. I am one with the light of the Divine Mother. I live and I move and I have my beingness within the feminine divine. And as I know this is my perfect truth, I know this is the truth for each and every beautiful creation that is on here today. I know each person is an individualized expression of motherhood. I know that today the motherhood speaks through me with divine grace, that we come together as one to cultivate this peace, to nurture this in our lives, because when we become that peace, we become that love, we become that joy, we give that to the world that we become. And I am grateful for this. I'm grateful for the love, the light, and the beauty. I know each and every person opens their hearts to hear exactly what they need to hear in order to evolve in a greater way in the world. And how beautiful that is. As I release my word into the law, knowing that it is done and it is good. And so it is. Hello, beautiful people. All right, so we're going to be together again. I can't wait. Yay. I'll let Kate talk to you about that. So, Reverend Kate, Mother's Day, you probably know Woodrow Wilson. He's the one that proclaimed Mother's Day would be the second Sunday in May, and that was in 1914. However, he is not the creator of Mother's Day. Oh, no, 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 no. The mothers of the world are the creator of Mother's Day. It all started during post-war in 1870, where women came together and they formed groups because they were mourning. They were mourning the soldiers, they were mourning their husbands and their sons, and they wanted to work for peace in the world. It all started with a lady named Anna Jarvis. Her mother held these Mother Day work clubs, and the mothers got together and they aimed to improve sanitary conditions and try to lower infant mortality rates by fighting disease and curbing milk contamination. And during the post-war years, Jarvis and other women organized Mother Friendship Day picnics. Yes, they invited their enemies to the picnic. They called them all in and they wanted to participate actively. They wanted to be a political activist promoting peace. And that is beautiful because they know that women can move things forward. They have this power. And the thing is, Anna Jarvis, she didn't want to commercialize Mother's Day, and she fought it all the way. But the United States, they claimed Mother's Day, and then the nation, everywhere in the world is celebrating Mother's Day today. So that was the blessing for that. But Anna really wanted to keep it a pure club of Mother's Day for peace, and there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, one of the women that was in the club, she also, Julia Ward Howe, in 1872, she wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And she also wrote a proclamation for the Women's Mother's Day for Peace. I'm just going to read you two verses from that proclamation. Our son shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe our dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. Wow, these were some powerful women of their times, and I love them. So yes, wow. Everyone wants peace. That mother divine within us is already peace. It's that peace that lives within you. And this is what we want to express. This is our authentic self of expressing that into the world, especially when you lose your children, you lose your husband. How devastating is that? But today, the women of the world come together and they have something called Food for Hunger. And they collaborate in groups, in communities, because they know that women know how to push things forward. They call them cascade groups. And they go into areas where people need to learn about hygiene and nutrition and education. And they give them lessons on how to have a peaceful home. And they teach these mothers this, and then the mothers go and they teach other mothers how to do this. So these are cascading groups. And supposedly within these groups, they have advanced in most profound ways. There's been powerful transformation in the communities, and mothers are at the center of this progress. So mothers are beautiful people. Talking about mothers, I just want to wish my mother a happy Mother's Day. I love you. So here's a quote, Mother's Day by Yvonne Hopkins. The quality of God that gives of itself, nurtures life, and holds everything together is pure love, unconditional love. And the model we've been given for this way of loving and living is motherhood. The only thing that gives us a chance to love as God loves. In fact, that the feminine is within us, all of us. And this is the magic of motherhood, the divine mother. And it is a get out of free jail card. The divine feminine liberates us from our prisons of feeling separate from one another, of living in fear and judgment. That's why we call it divine feminine, divine motherhood. A mother's love is so complete, so nourishing. It can only be God loving through them. How beautiful is that? I remember as a child, my mother tried to describe to us kids, there was 3 of us, what it was like to be a mother. Yeah. And how she described it. And she says it even today. I think I recently heard her say this. First of all, she'll think about it. And then tears will start flowing down her face. And she would say, I would run through a burning building for you children and for your father. And it was so beautiful. I mean, it was her way of emotionally really trying to tell us what it is like to love on such a deep level. In the Bible, chapter 5, verse 8 in Matthew, it quotes, "Ye are the light of the world. Man is the candle of the Lord. How important then that this light be kept trimmed and burning with the oil of pure spirit through the wick of peace and joy. In this way do we glorify that indwelling God who is the heavenly Father and the cosmic mother of all." Wow, how beautiful is that? I'm not sure if you follow me on Facebook, but my little sister from Big Brother Big Sister just came out to visit me. And she's 33 now. We met when she was 5. She brought her 6-month-old child. It was such a beautiful experience to watch her daily nurture her baby. And there's so many needs that her baby needed. And her mind was always just clicking, food, change, giggles, whatever she had to do with the baby, she was there to really care and nurture for her child. And I was also in New York City. I was visiting a friend who did an off-Broadway show, and she was an orphan. She didn't have a mother, and she became a Radio City Rockette. And she had a very sad beginnings, but there was always a divine mother that was watching over her. And she had many blessings in her life, not only becoming a Rockette, but she has a marriage of 22 years and a beautiful, beautiful daughter, adult daughter now. So whether you have a mother or not, there's always a divine mother that's always going to guide you and lead you through life. So I went to Radio City and just kind of walked around Radio City, and it was fun. But then, I'm a different person than I was before. I'm a pilgrim now. That's right. I'm a pilgrim. I love to visit places of holiness. So I went to all the cathedrals on Fifth Avenue. One of them that was right down the street from Radio City was St. Patrick's Cathedral. And they also had a gift shop that I went into. And I picked up a little card there, and this card was to keep in your wallet, and it's called The Most Important Person on Earth. She cannot claim the honor of having built the Notre Dame cathedrals. She needs not. She has built something more magnificent than any cathedral or dwelling. For an immortal soul, a tiny perfection of her baby's body, mothers are closer to God, the Creator, than any other creature. What on God's good earth is more glorious than this, to be a mother? That was written by a cardinal, Joseph Mitzinger. So I'm going to tell you a Mother's Day story about a man that went into a flower shop. His mother lived 200 miles away, and he wanted to wire her some flowers for Mother's Day. And as he was walking into the flower shop, he saw this little girl who was on the steps, and she was crying. And he asked her, "What's wrong?" And the little girl said, "I want to buy a rose for my mother, but I only have 75 cents, and the rose is $2. He said, "Oh, come on in with me, and I'll buy you the rose." So she came in with him, and he bought her the rose. And then he wired his flowers to his mother, who lived 200 miles away. So as he was walking out, he looked at the little girl, and he said, "Can I drive you home?" She said, "No, but you can take me to my mother's." So they got in the car, and she took him to the local cemetery, and she placed the flower on a freshly dug grave. And the man after that returned back to the flower shop. He canceled the wire order, picked up a bouquet, and drove 200 miles to visit his mother's house. Oh, that was beautiful. Every year in the past, before the pandemic, I was going to the Camino, right? And there's something that keeps bothering me that I've been wanting to do over there is I want to go over to Portugal, and I want to go to Fatima. There's a movie about Fatima on Netflix. And the thing is about Fatima, there is a miracle there called Our Lady of Fatima miracle. And this is the divine mother, the divine Virgin Mary, who made an appearance in the 1900s, the 1917 exactly is when she made the appearance. And on this fateful day, on May 13th, she appeared before three young peasant children. They were 10, 9, and 7. And she was a lady that was brilliant in white, indescribably beautiful. And she appeared before the youth, and she had asked them to pray for the world. And she asked to give a message to everybody to pray for the world and to renunciate, because the Russians were about to leave God and to become a communist country. And war was about to break out. And the Mother Divine could see what was going to happen in the future. And she knew that the world needed a message. And the only people she really could go to give this message were young children who were young, and they were open, and they were open and receptive. So she gave them the message, and of course the children gave the message to everyone else, and no one really believed them. And Mother Mary said, I will visit you every day on the 13th, every month from May to October 13th. And October 13th, I am going to give a miracle, a great demonstration for everyone. So there was a lot of controversy during this time, and the children were grilled, and no one believed them, and they were punished. And no matter what, they were there on the 13th of each month, and the Mother Mary talked to them and gave them messages to give to the people. because the world was in devastation. And I believe that Mother Mary appears to children, to people, or gives the messages when we have to save the planet, when we have to save the world. So at this time, the world was about to go into horrific war zones. And so on October 13th, which was going to be the last meeting for Mother Mary to meet with the children, there was torrential rain for 3 days beforehand. And people were coming from everywhere to see if this was true. And there was like 70,000 people to visit the Divine Mother and to see the miracle. And the children were standing there, and they told, the people are waiting for you to do this miracle. And what happened was the sun started to come down from the sky, lower and lower towards the earth, and it started to dance around the sky. And people thought that this was going to be like the ending, like the last day on earth. Everyone was in fear. But then 10 minutes later, the sun went back into its heavenly position. And everyone who was wet from their pilgrimage there, they were all of a sudden completely dry. Their clothes were dry, their hair were dry, the ground was dry, everything was dry, everything was back in perfect order. And this was called the miracle of the sun in Fatima that happened in 1917. And so the Divine Mother is always showing herself when she needs to be shown, to give the message of nurturing peace in the world. Matter of fact, in 2013, I think there was a message that was given to us in Encinitas. An artist built a mosaic piece of artwork called the Surfing Madonna and hung it under the freeway on Encinitas Boulevard and the 5. Funny, I was driving and I got to see that piece of artwork when it was hanging there. The city was so furious with them that they fined them and they made them take it down. But the Virgin de Guadalupe was hung across the street on the side of a building, and everyone still enjoys this beautiful piece of work. And on the side of that mosaic, it says, "Save the ocean." Yes. So it's a calling for us to be more conscious how we treat our ocean. And the Surfing Madonna Ocean Project, has already donated $100,000 to oceans, to beaches, to parks, and to humanitarian programs. So we know for sure that it is working. And when people hear this call, they move forward with it. That's the beauty of it. So we want to cultivate that peace in the world. We want to nurture that love and that peace. Ernest Holmes quotes, "The peace at the center of your being was not born out of human struggle, evolution, or accomplishment. It is something that always existed. It was not given by the world. The world cannot take it away. It awaits your recognition that you may enter into conscious partnership with it. And when you join the forces of your intellect with the infinite calm of your heart, you will no longer be disturbed, nor will you be afraid." Yeah, that's right. And I think that this pandemic is a reflection that we're living in fear and separation. And this is why it's important that we nurture this peace on a regular basis. And how do we do it? Now, we have pillars. Yes, spiritual pillars in our practice. And one of them is pray every single day. There's not one day that doesn't go by, and probably twice a day, that I pray for world peace. It's important that we put that energy, because we live in a mental universe and it's creative, and it's always creating through our thoughts and our love and our energy. And to pray for peace and love in the world, and to meditate, because you want to become the essence of peace. Because when you become that within your own physical body, within your own life, then you become that into the world. Well, I don't know about you, but I do meditate twice a day, and it is not easy. I'm going to be honest, it's not easy. There are times, many times, that my ego likes to run away with me. My ego loves drama. Yeah, my ego is addicted to drama. So I'll sit down to get quiet and to think about God instead. And all of a sudden, my ego, if I don't have any drama in my life, will make up something. Yeah, and it'll grab my mind, so I'm not thinking about God. So I'm always trying to figure out, how can I eradicate that? How can I nurture that peace within me and focus my mind back on the golden key, focusing on God instead? And so I'm reading a book right now. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it teaches you how to have good habits in your life. And they have a technique called point and call. And they got this from the Japanese because the Japanese railway system is one of the best in the world. And I think it was 1989. I went to Japan with the Rockettes and I rode on the bullet train. And there is where they developed it, on the bullet train. And in Tokyo, the conductors have a habit called point and call. It's a ritual of pointing at different objects and calling out and saying what it is that they are pointing at. So when the train approaches a signal, the operator will point at it and say, green. As the train pulls into the station, the operator will point at the speed of the train and call it out, 20. When leaving the station, the operator will point at the timetable and state the time, 2:01. Before pulling away from the track, the operator will point at along the edge of the platform and then call out, all clear. And it also said that one time a lady got her hand stuck in that door and her son was on the other side. And the operator was pointing along and saw the lady and stopped the train from going. Can you imagine at 200 miles per hour, what would have happened to her? And so by pointing and calling, they have reduced mistakes, reducing errors up to 85% and accidents up to 30%. Matter of fact, New York City subway has also used this formula in their system and their accidents fell 57%. Point and call is very successful and it raises the level of awareness from a non-conscious habit to a more conscious habit in your life, because the train conductors, they must use their eyes and their hands and their mouths and their ears, and they're more likely to notice a problem. So think of a time when you point and call in your life. I know that before I leave the house, keys, ID, money, iPhone. I mean, there's a list in my mind that goes, do I have it all? That's point and call. So what I did was I took this point and call technique and I took it into my meditation. How can I use it when my mind starts to think about drama or create drama? So I become the mother. I could become the divine mother. It's almost like the child, like when you have something you have to do that you have, it's like taxes, or you have a test that you have to study for, or something that has to get done like ASAP, and you can't play, and you have a child that comes up to you and wants to play with you. And if you're that divine mother, you look at the child, you redirect them, and you say, not now, not now. So when I think of something that I'm creating in my mind that I shouldn't be creating, or if I'm thinking about a drama in my life, I say to myself, not now. I see you thinking about that, but not now. Think of God instead. Get back to the golden key. And so when I get back to the golden key, this is when I become one with that peace that is already within me. So this is a technique that you can take with you, not now. Really good. I have a friend that recently became ill. I won't tell you what she had, but she became sick and it was unexpected, right? And then she started telling her friends in her family. Well, then people in her life that maybe were not in her spiritual practice would say, oh my God, that happened to my cousin. You wouldn't believe what happened to my cousin. It was terrible. And then they went to the hospital and this happened and that happened to her. She would tell someone else, that happened to me. And let me tell you what happened. You're never going to survive this. And da, da, da. And it just freaked her out. And she called me. She said, I am so happy for my God-centered friends. Yes, that can see the light and the truth of who I am, because my people are driving me crazy. So she had to put that, not now. I can't hear that, not now, not now. That loving boundary to protect her consciousness. We do this to protect our consciousness because we live in a creative mind, and what we put out there becomes a reality. Or if someone puts that out there for us, that's why you want to keep your business personal and only to people who are going to see the light within you when something is going on in your life. Now, Ernest Holmes, in the religious science textbooks, he has a story in there. He speaks about a mother who continually says, poor thing, oh, the poor sick little thing, oh, the poor sick little thing. Now, from the human standpoint, this is natural, but it doesn't help the child, no matter how loving the mother is. Actually, in religious science, Ernest Holmes would call this unconscious or innocent malpractice. Yes, malpractice, because it's wrong use of the thought. Innocent because it's not intended to harm. Unconscious because the mother does not know the result of such mental action. Yes, in this case, it's up to the practitioner to know that there is no mental influence operating within the child's mind for that child's protection. Now, remember, the child at first is happy and free and spontaneous, but when the child grows up, like us, we become filled with the world's karmic drama of fear and drama, whatever's happening in the world, it becomes filled with us, fear and drama. So when we live in this consciousness of peace, of that light, of that divine knowing that the motherhood of the divine is always looking at us with unconditional love and that everything is perfect, we just move through our lives a lot smoother. Not now, right? So this is a beautiful boundary to use in your life and to protect yourself, because you want to spiritualize your life, you want to spiritualize your inner life, and you want to protect that divine being within you by, praying, by meditating, by loving, by serving, by remembering. And this is what I do. I love, I serve, and remember. I put little remembrances of God all around my house. Like I bought this little wooden heart at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Yes. And it says pray from your heart. So I'll put that up on my vanity. And then I have heart rocks that I collect from the beach. And here's one of the many heart rocks that I have that I'll put around my house. And every time I look at it, I always think about God instead and just try to reveal that peace that was, or that joy that is within me. And then here's one. This vehicle is guided by God. This is a clip that I have in my car. This vehicle is guided by God. So I know that every time I sit in my vehicle, I'm safe. And then I also got a cross from the St. Patrick's Cathedral that I can put in my iPhone, in my wallet. Just remember that Christ consciousness that lives within me. Yeah, it's beautiful. Just think about God instead. That's really the golden key of life. So first and foremost, Mother's Day can be an opportunity to celebrate our earthly mothers, yeah, and thanking them and honoring them for their amazing job that they did bringing us into the physical world. No doubt, not everyone has such a happy and healthy relationship with their birth mother, but which is why it's important to understand that this unique relationship with the creative principle of life goes far beyond personalities. That's right. Perhaps equally as important, Mother's Day can be a chance for each of us to consciously reconnect with the principle of the divine feminine within ourselves, which is where this true power of unconditional love resides, waiting to embrace and to nurture that peace from within. So celebrate the divine feminine this Mother's Day and notice how loved you really are. All right, Carlsbad, I love you. Let's pray. I invite you to close your eyes and to go within as I recognize this divine mother, this divine motherhood that lives within me, this divine motherhood that is everywhere in its fullest, creating through all, is as all. It is that creative magnificence, the creative genius of the universe is the motherhood of life. And I know as I am all that mother is, I know that each and every person here is one with the wholeness, with the goodness, with the beauty, with the joy of the divine feminine. And I know the divine feminine is guiding us on our path through life, guiding us out of this pandemic, knowing that we are living in light, living in love, living in joy, that this is the truth of our being. Mother is shining this upon us and how beautiful this unconditional love is and how it feels in our lives. So I invite everyone to embrace this unconditional love and to shine this love from your heart out into the world, and just know that this world is in perfect order, perfect condition. Everyone is perfect, whole, and complete, and we are all good. So I am just grateful for this time together, grateful for this time to just groom our consciousness and the expression of God as I release my word into the law, knowing that it is good and it is done. And so it is. All right, beautiful people. Mwah. I love you.